Hi everybody, my name is Ms. Goh, and I'll be creating a series of videos to go through some of the questions in the Hwa Chong Prelim 2021 paper. I will try to provide some quick and dirty tips in terms of question analysis and the approach so that these questions become more doable for you. Okay, so this video is for question 2, and the question is this: is there a need to redefine the notion of success in your society? So this is a question about Singapore. I mean, we'll just assume Singapore for this video. And it's asking you whether there is a need to redefine, meaning rethink, readjust, overhaul, perhaps, the notion of success in Singapore, right? Of course, for this question, when it's presented to you like that, is there a need to redefine the notion of success? You probably want to say yes. Okay, if there is no need to redefine the notion of success, then maybe the examiners wouldn't have asked you the question. Okay? So for this question, you probably want to think, yes, but why do we need to redefine the notion of success? And what do we want to redefine it to? Do you have like any ideas? So for this question, if you can ask yourself the right question, you can get quite far in terms of how to approach the question and your arguments. And the question you need to ask yourself is, what is the notion of success in Singapore? Of course, so you're really looking at what are the indicators of success to Singaporeans, right? How do you know as a society when someone is successful? What is it that we look for? How do you spot the successful person? Okay, so even as I ask this, many of you will know the answer, or you already have things coming, or you already have things in your head. And in Singapore, you will think, first and foremost, money, right? You spot a successful person by how much money the person makes or how much money the person has. Lee Hsien Yang recently sold a good class bungalow for something like $16 million, which is a little mind-boggling to regular people like us. But success has to do very much with money. So if you can consider what are notions of success, you can begin to think how to approach this question. So of course, if you're starting with this idea of money, how has it served well as an indicator of success? Right? I mean, of course, it served well because Singapore keeps getting richer and richer, and it means that we have a lot of reserves. People have money. I mean, money is not a bad thing, right? But then for this question, you want to be thinking, well, what are some of the problems or even the implications of chasing after money? Implications. And this would be the reason, this over here would be why there might be a need to redefine the notion of success. So of course, when you're thinking of money, you can think of the implications on the individual level. What happens when individuals spend all their time chasing after more money? Of course, the impact on their health and the happiness level, work-life balance, so on and so forth. You of course can think in terms of companies as well. So what happens when companies are purely profit-driven? You just want to increase the profits. What are the implications of that? Or you can even think in terms of the government. What are the implications of only looking at increasing GDP? Right. So when you start thinking that way, on the government company level, of course, there's the possibility of exploitation, how we treat our foreign workers, how we pay them. We will, if all we want is to increase profit, then we will want to pay them as little as we can, isn't it? Of course, on the individual level, that there are some individual consequences on our health, isn't it, or even our happiness. Okay. So something like money is very tangible. So you need to be asking yourself, if these are the problems of focusing on wealth as a notion of success, how then am I suggesting that it ought to be redefined? Right. So this is the third step of this of thinking along these lines. Should we focus on more intangible things, family time, relationships? I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Or should we be more human centric? Or should we be focused? Should we be thinking more of human rights or employee rights? So there are all these possibilities. I don't actually know what this is, but this is for your thinking. How should we redefine success then in Singapore? Okay, so going along these same lines, you'll be thinking of another indicator of success. And the second indicator of success will be something that all of you will feel very keenly at this point in your life. And that is of academic results. I think in Singapore, it's a very strong correlation between success and good results. I don't think it's necessarily I don't think it's a good thing at all. But many of y'all will feel that you would not have succeeded if your results are no good, right? Of course, there are a lot of implications and problems with that. And this idea of having failed, when there isn't much of a failure except failing some part of an exam or not being able to meet the requirements of an exam. That there's a problem of stratification as well, because the more academic or the more value we place on good results, the more the education system becomes stratified and the more difficult it is the more judged people feel, I think. I think there is a CNA documentary that many of y'all have watched. The name slips my mind. But there's this idea that people in let's say normal academic, normal tech streams, how they feel towards their counterparts who are in so-called faster streams, right? And so this labeling, this discrimination, all of that stratification, all of this is very problematic, if you were to ask me. Then if you're thinking this way, if all of these are problems and there's a need to redefine, how should we redefine? Of course, it needs to be more inclusive. Okay, we need to allow for the assessment of multiple intelligences. We need to value technical skills and not just academic, right? We need to professionalize blue-collar jobs. Right? I mean, all of this are ways that we ought to redefine the notion of success. Okay, so this is another possibility of how we ought to redefine. Okay, so going along these lines, the third way that maybe the third thing that we can be thinking about of success will be that of stability, right? I think in Singapore, there's this sense that if you have a stable job, you have succeeded in life. I think some of y'all might have gotten some advice to find a civil service job because they say it's an iron rice bowl, right? And there's something innately attractive to a Singaporean about an iron rice bowl. But this creates some problems, right? So of course, when you're talking about this, you have to show how this notion of success has served us well up to now, right? And this idea of how it has given us a very stable workforce or a diligent workforce or something that has allowed us to become a developed country in some ways, because the population is hardworking, so to speak. Yeah. So, but then the problem that comes with it is that Singaporeans are risk averse, right? And the impact on our desire to innovate or to take risks or to be an entrepreneur has impacts on our R&D and our ability to come up with cutting edge technology that we are able to sell to the world. We are quite terrible at that, actually. And so in that sense, that there might be a need to redefine it. Of course, in this third case, I don't really know what it should be redefined as. Oh dear, just drew a dollar note. I mean, as in, oh dear. Okay, so in this third case, I'm not sure how we want to redefine. Of course, in schools, we're trying to fairly poorly, I would add. We say we want to encourage risk-taking entrepreneurship, but the desire for stability and good academic results is far too strong for anything that we can do in schools, I feel. But anyway, it's something you need to be thinking about, like how we ought to redefine. So once you have this outline, so to speak, or this mind map, you already have the outline for an essay. Okay, so I mean, if you start in an essay, you can talk about the notion of success as how wealth or money has served as has served as a fairly reliable notion of success for up to now, in the sense of how it has made us quite prosperous. But then, so if this is 1A, then you can look at the problems of pursuing it, and then how we need to redefine. Okay, so same thing, how academic results has served us well by giving us a somewhat scholarly workforce. We are able to identify scholars and sift them into high-flying civil service jobs, I guess. But how that has had a implication on society at large. And this part's very important to see the need to change. Okay. And then you can do 3A, stability, and then the impact. Okay, so if you look at it, it's possible. I mean, this part shows really the reasons why we need to redefine. If you want to do a single opposing view before all of these, you can talk about how Singapore has been succeeding, and we have succeeded so much that some would say that there's no need to change anything. We have succeeded in so many ways. Our standard of living is high. We are apparently the happiest nation in Southeast Asia, especially after how well we have dealt with COVID-19, etc., etc. But then you can talk later on about why there is still a need to redefine. Alternatively, you can do the opposing view by showing how our notions of success have served us well, but why there is still a need to redefine. Okay, so that's it for question 3. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.